Hi, Assalamualaikum and good evening to Doctor and everyone. We are from Group 2. We'll be discussing and present on one of the top global issues that have been a constant matter, which is the people smuggling. Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Sharifah Fataina, 361936. So, this is my group members. They will be presenting about their part after this.
So, let us begin the topic. The last 2 decades have witnessed a worrisome trend whereby reported cases of international maritime crime at sea have been dramatically increased at an alarming rate, and one of them is the people smuggling issue. This issue has been a crucial issue recently. So, the first thing first, what is the meaning of people smuggling? The smuggling of migrants as defined in Article 3A of the Smuggling Migrants Protocol, where it involved the facilitation of a person's illegal entry into a state for a financial or other material benefit. In the past few years, the number of people smuggling or human trafficking has shown an increasing in number. In the end of April 2020, there are 177,800 refugees and asylum seekers that registered with UNHCR in Malaysia. As you guys can see in the table, this is the total number of refugees that came into Malaysia from other countries. Myanmar recorded the highest one, as it consists around 101,280 Rohingyas, and also there are some 24,740 refugees that came from other countries like Pakistan, Yemen, Afghanistan, and also Palestine. According to UNHCR, there are 68% of refugees are men, while the 32% are women, and also 46,450 children below the age of 18.
Next is a 2.0 problem statement. Since the last 10 years, there have been a pervasive trend of people smuggling at sea, especially the growing incident of attempted and actual landing of Rohingya boat people in the coast of Malaysia. Malaysia has been a targeted destination of Rohingya boat people over the years to escape from the ethnic persecution in Myanmar. This is because Malaysia has a stable and peaceful environment along with a healthy and robust socio-economic growth that make it known to be a popular choice of illegal immigrants. According to UNHCR, there are around 101,280 Rohingya boat people that has been landing in Malaysia. The increasing cases of reported people smuggling, transiting, or trying to land in the country's shores certainly has become a serious concern among the Malaysia Authority and government alike. Hence, Malaysia government has taken a series of preventive action to combat this issue by addressing several strategies that can be applied in order to combat this matter. 3.0 Research Question. This report will attempt to answer the following research question. Moving on, 4.0 Research Objective. This report will attempt to fulfill the following objective. The first one, to appraise the legal, institutional, and scholarly definition of people smuggling at sea under the international law. The second one, to analyze and examine the rights and obligations of state in dealing with people smuggling at the sea. The third one, to identify and explain Malaysia's current national legal and policy framework that has been enacted to deal with the people smuggler. The last one, to propose the measures and strategies that Malaysia can adopt in dealing with people smuggling at the sea. Next, I would like to invite my friends Lee Chun Fong to explain and elaborate more about the legal, institutional, and scholarly definition of people smuggling at the sea under the international law.
Next, I will expand on the definition of people smuggling at sea. And for this part, I will separate into two. First is the legal definition, and second is the intellectual definition. The first part is the legal definition of people smuggling at sea. People smuggling is synonymously called as the migrant smuggling. In the context of international legal definition, United Nations Smuggling of Migrants Protocol Article 3 defines people smuggling as the procurement in order to obtain, directly or indirectly, a financial or other material benefit of the illegal entry of a person into a state of which the person is not a national or permanent resident. And in European Union action plan against migrant smuggling refers people smuggling as a highly profitable business with criminal networks thriving on the low risk of detection and punishment. Otherwise, in the context of national legal definition, according to laws of Malaysia, in the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants in 2007, migrant smuggling means arranging, facilitating, or organizing, direct or indirectly, a person's unlawful entry into or through, or unlawful exit from any country of which the person is not a citizen. Next is the intellectual definition. According to Saul and Steen in 1997, they conceptualized people smuggling as a profit-driven activity within a broader business system whereby the smuggler's main motivation is profit and the common point of intersection with migrants is financial. And so it can understood that the financial means is the driving factor for smuggling. And for Gallagher and David in 2014, they defines the term as the unauthorized movement of individuals across national borders to gain benefit. According to Tinti and Retano in 2017, people smuggling refers to a need or desire of persons to move illegally across borders. Sometimes people might misunderstood and confuse on the differences between human trafficking and people smuggling. Therefore, I provide a short difference. Human trafficking is a crime that against human rights, and the involved person may consider as the victim. But for the people smuggling, it is a crime that requires crossing borders, which is against the migration law, but the smuggler is willingly to smuggling. That's all from me, and so I would like to pass the turn to Shahira to explain on what are the right and obligation of states.
Thank you to Lee Chung-Fung. Next, I will resume our report presentation with right and obligation of states under international law. Tackling the illegal practice of smuggling of migrants requires a comprehensive legal and normative approach. Thus, different category state like coastal state, port state, and flat state has their own right and obligation in dealing and treating the boat people according to the legal framework that has been enacted by the International Law Convention, such as United Nations Convention Law of the Sea, International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, International Convention on Maritime Research and Rescue, and Migrant Smuggling Protocol. Coastal state. There are several of coastal state obligations and authorities under the law of the sea in combating the people smuggling in its jurisdictional water. The LOSC contains legal articles on protecting the territorial sea from faring vessels. For instance, in Article 25(1) encloses that state may take necessary steps in its territorial sea to prevent passage which is non-innocent. The foreign ship that contains the non-innocent may be excluded from territorial sea. This can be seen when Malaysian government has detained nearly 270 Rohingya refugees whose boat had drifted offshore for nearly 2 months because of coronavirus lockdown. Next, Article 27(1)(b) also states that allow coastal state to exercise criminal jurisdiction over crime that kind of disturb the peace of the country or the good order of the territorial sea. It can be seen in Philippines versus China case that China officials operate illegally in Philippine EEZ. A coastal state has also the right to impose legislative measures to prevent vessels from enjoying innocent passage in its territorial sea if the vessel involved in people smuggling. The coastal state also has the right to prevent any breach of the condition to which admission of those ships to internal water or such a call is subject. This shows the entry into port is concerned, which means the boat people do not have the right to enter the territorial sea.
There is also an obligation in which come to the assistance of persons in distress at sea. This is whereby state in Article 98(2) that every coastal state is obligated to promote research and rescue services as well as provide general cooperation with other states. This can be seen in Libyan coast incident that there are rescue operations that has been carried by the Libyan Coast Guard and local fishermen at coastal town of Al-Khums. Coastal state has also the obligation to give a protection in terms of seeking asylum for the refugees. Article 16, 2 and 3 of the Migrant Smuggling Protocols require assistance to be given to the smuggled migrants whose life or safety are endangered. This can be seen, for instance, in Australian cases of MV of Tampa that happened in 31st March 2015, where they provided protection to the boat people. Port state. Fundamentally, the power of jurisdiction, control and enforcement prescribed to coastal state are naturally in a way to benefit the port state as well, and is essentially to a coastal state. The nature of these two states are correspond to the power of the coastal state, which respect to its internal water, as almost invariably the port is located in internal waters. There are several protection and assistance measures that can be taken by port state with respect to migrants who are smuggled at sea. Indeed, Article 2 of the Migrant Smuggling Protocols clarifies that protection is one of the key purposes of the protocol. This also can be seen in Article 16 of the Migrant Smuggling Protocol, which set out a mandatory protection and assistance provisions. It clarified that all persons intercepted or rescued at sea should receive an assistance in accordance with their needs. However, the nature of assistance required by a migrant smuggled by sea will depend on the nature of their smuggling experience. A right of access does not necessarily entail a right of disembarkation. A ship in distress that is entitled to seek refuge in a port or the internal water of a state may not automatically be entitled to disembark by anyone, although it is recognized under customary international law and the LOSC that a vessel may access the coastal state port in case of distress or force majeure. States have often denied and prevented vessels carrying smuggled migrant rescue at sea to access their port, even when the vessel is in a distressed situation. Foreign vessels cannot access the coastal state port without obtaining its permission, and every coastal state is competent to allow or deny access to its port. For instance, in the case of migrant smuggling in late March of 2020 that carries several women, young children and political refugees run into Tobruk after leaving Tripoli for the Italian island of Lampedusa. Approximately 280 migrants who were intercepted today are returned to Libya, remain on the overcrowded Coast Guard vessel as Libyan authorities refuse to let them disembark. In context of next port of call, with reference to the disembarkation of rescued persons in now here clearly defined that there are a number of possibilities which will also need to be further explored to clarify this concept. In many instances, especially when large number of rescued persons are involved, it will in effect be the nearest port in terms of geographical proximity, given to the overriding safety concerns. Another option would be the next scheduled port of call. This would be appropriate, for instance, in case where the number of people rescued is small and the safety of the vessel and those on board is not endangered nor likely to necessitate a deviation from its intended course. There may be instances where the next port of call may not be the closest one, but rather the one of best equipped for the purpose of receiving traumatized and injured victims and subsequently processing any asylum application. Flag states are of course bound by the dictates of international maritime law, but in practice, responsibility can be difficult to locate given the distinction between those vessels that have a clear relationship to the flag under which they sail and those operating under the open registry system, so-called flag of convenience. In Article 94.1, general duties of the flag state and matter over which it may exercise their jurisdiction has provided that the flag state has a duty to exercise its jurisdiction and control in administrative, technical and also social matters over ship flying its flag. And this is also reflected on Article 15 UNTOC, which encloses that establishment of jurisdiction in respect of offence committed on board a vessel flying the flag of the state. For instance, in support of preventing sea smuggling voyages from taking place, Navy Pillay, the United Nations High Commissioners for Human Rights, stated that it is literally vital that flag states are bound to exercise effective jurisdiction and control over their vessel by ensuring strict compliance with safety standards set out in relevant international instruments, so that unseaworthy ships and boats are remain ashore. They must also prevent and prohibit smuggling and trafficking of migrants. In short, flag states must exercise effective control over their vessel, particularly by prohibiting them from being used for smuggling of migrants, and unseaworthy vessels should not be permitted to sail at all. In terms of duty to render an assistance of relevance, it is obviously the duty to assist persons in distress at sea is enclosed in Part 7 of LOSC. That assist persons in distress at sea, it is a long-established rule of customary international law. As such, it has been codified in LOSC that which prescribe relevant duties for both the flag and the coastal state. First, with regard to the flag state, Article 98(1) of LOSC prefaces that the responsibility to rescue and provide assistance rests initially with the master of the ship that come to rescue, and entails the duty to deliver the people on board to a place of safety. Next, under Article 110 of LOSC, right of visit, it also states that all states have the right of visit. However, the right of visit is sometimes exercised in respect of ships engaged in smuggling of migrants on the basis that such ships lack of nationality. Otherwise, Article 8(2) Migrant Smuggling Protocol also states that any action against a foreign vessel on the high seas must be based on the express of flag state authorization, except those necessary to relieve imminent danger to the life of persons, or those which derive from relevant bilateral or multilateral agreements. So, next, I will handling this report presentation to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Awalina and my metric number is 263637. So I'm going to continue the discussion on national policy. One of the national policy is National Action Plan Against Trafficking in Person 2010 to 2015. The plan is the 5-year plan for strategic direction, goals and program areas to ensure effective implementation. The plan acts as a supplement to the Act System 2007 by setting the directions and efforts at the national level. Moving on to the next slide, there are 9 strategic objectives in the National Action Plan. The first one is strengthening the laws to provide bigger powers to the enforcement authority. The action plan highlights the need to review the existing Standard Operating Procedure (SOP) as required in order to provide better investigation, protection and prosecution based on changing situation. Second, promoting cooperation among law enforcement agencies, which means sharing of information among the agencies. Third, raising public awareness, where the action plan stresses the importance of creating a responsible and responsive society. Public awareness program is being conducted through radio and television broadcasts. Special program and public notice on anti-trafficking have been broadcasted to inform the public. Fourth, cooperating with NGOs and providing international standard compliant protection to the victims. The action plan also points out that victim-friendly rehabilitation services based on best practices should be made available to help the victim in the recovery process. Fifth, combating foreign labor trafficking. Sixth, providing training for enforcement officers, which is to make sure that the officers understand the objective of the 2007 Act. 7. Integrating information sharing among government departments. 8. establishing domestic and international partnership, which it can be done through bilateral or multilateral cooperation. 9. Strengthening the law enforcement. KPI and key performance target will be used to measure the performance and monitor the progress in tackling human trafficking. Aside from the objective, the plan also has 5 fundamental principles. The first one is government ownership, where the government is committed to fight the crime by placing the implementation of human trafficking and smuggling at the top of the national agenda. Second, participation of civil society, which is a cooperation with NGOs like SWACAM. Third, human right-based treatment of victims, where the government has established shelters that protect victims until the collection of evidence ends. Fourth, interdisciplinary coordination at the governmental level and with international organizations and NGOs, where the government also seeks consultancy from SWACAM. Fifth, systematic evaluation and sustainability, like training program and standard operating procedure being provided to the officers. The second national policy is National Action Plan Against Trafficking in Person from 2016 to 2020. This plan is the second phase generated by the Malaysian government to make sure the country achieves the status of Tier 1 in the watch list of trafficking in person. It will also involve cooperation for the military in exercising jurisdiction, law, protection, and publicity in the next 5 years. The plan will give priority to the welfare and protection of the victim of people trafficking based on the proposal made in the international arena. Next is legal framework. In order to preserve its maritime safety, Malaysia has come out with Anti-Trafficking in Person and Anti-Smuggling of Migrant Act 2007 and Immigration Act 1959/1963. First, we're going to talk about Anti-Trafficking in Person and Anti-Smuggling of Migrant Act 2007. This act is adopted in July 2007 and entered into force in February 2008. It consists of 6 parts and 67 sections. It is an act to prevent and combat trafficking in person and smuggling of migrants and to provide for matters connected therewith. Like in Part 3, Section 4, stated that a person who commits human trafficking crime can be prosecuted with the terms of imprisonment up to 15 years. Next is Immigration Act 1959/1963. This act is adopted in May 1959 and entered into force in March 2003. It consists of 7 parts and 74 sections. This Immigration Act is the main legislation in regards to the immigration law in Malaysia. There are still other rules and regulations as well, such as Immigration Order 1963 and Passport Act 1966. Malaysia also followed State Department and UN assessment of law and practice. This protocol against the smuggling of migrants by land, sea, and air. It provides comprehensive guidance for assessing the criminal justice responses to the smuggling of migrants. It also consists of 7 parts and 32 sections in model law against the smuggling of migrants. To continue on with the presentation, I'll pass on to the next presenter.
Now I will present on proposed strategy in combating people smuggling, which is first, Malaysia continue to confront with numerous challenges resulting from the widespread international migratory movement due to various reasons. And the second is MMEA has discussed several strategies that can be applied in order to combat and prevent the people smuggling in Malaysia territorial sea. The first strategy is enact and implement law with stringent punishment. Since Malaysia is committed to tackle the smuggling problem, Malaysia needs to strengthen its national law and regulation. which can be achieved by increasing the penalty to deter and punish the smuggler. So, states need ensure offences have penalty that reflect the severity of the offense. For example, a number of countries have established a maximum penalty for 10 years imprisonment for a migrant smuggling, which Australia government imposed law. So, as an act of deterrence, the prison statutory provision of penalty for offence under Abdition Act 2007 should be amended. The penalty of monetary fine for trafficking should set higher than the current one. Next strategy is strengthening intelligence gathering. MMEN need to cooperate with other states, especially neighboring states, to exchange information. Intelligence gathering also should be done by having collaboration with marine police and local communities. Next, MMEA should collaborate with Malaysian intelligence agencies such as Malaysia External Intelligence Organisation, which is MEIO, and Royal Malaysia Police. Next strategy is strengthening border control. The strategic location that surround Malaysia as in the middle of Southeast Asia has witnessed almost a high trend of people smuggling issue. Amongst of the strategy in strengthening border control is MMES should deploy more national security assets at sea and air to beef up patrol. Besides that, increase and advance power to national assets by upgrading over on its technology and function, and also increase more number of advanced radar equipment and patrol ship. Besides that, enhance its standard operating procedure, which at the coastline border in the integrate operation with other agencies such as Royal Malaysia Navy and armed forces in order to strengthen its efficiency of the operation at national maritime zone. And the last is effectively increase the empower human resources with sending them to International Maritime Security Conference, workshop, and international discourse seminar. The next strategy is establishing regional cooperation. First, joint patrol operation, which is establish the status of the main body of the law enforcement to ensure the seriousness of maritime law enforcement and to establish the authority of the law. Second, share intelligence and data, which is relying on solid maths work and intelligence information work and relying on enhancing the scientific and technological content of equipment, such as enhancing monitoring capabilities through the improvement of both equipment and alarm system to enhance the first rapid response capability. Third, regular training exercise, which is regularly carry out extensive education to preventing the mass from participating in this activity. This is aiming to let public understand the dangers of people smuggling. Besides that, carry out anti-smuggling exercise at sea from time to time. This will assist the Border Defense Department in cracking down on people smuggling. Last is improve the quality of police officer. As a conclusion, people smuggling is a threat for Malaysia's national security. So, MMES suggests enact and implement law with stringent punishment, strengthening intelligence gathering, strengthening border control, and establishing regional cooperation. Malaysia government should take more action to combat people smuggling. Thank you.